What's up guys, how you doing? Welcome to another video. So I've set up the slideshow in the background. I don't know if you guys can even see those little slideshows in the background, but they make for a nicer background, so we're gonna do it anyway. Today we have got a Q&A video. That's right, I'm answering some of your questions. I put a thing out on my social media channels, on my Instagram and on my Twitter. If you didn't see it, maybe you're not following me on those channels, make sure you go check me out on Instagram at @RobSamblesSport, on Twitter at Rob Sambles Photo, so you can follow along and find out when I post things like Q&As and other random behind the scenes stuff, question stuff and opportunities for you guys to interact with the channel. Got a ton of questions back through. Thank you very much for sending them in if you did. Hopefully I'll get to most of them today. Maybe not all, but I'm going to try my best. It really depends on how long the video lasts for. But either way, I think it should be a good video. Before we get into it, I'm going to ask you guys to do two things for me. It's the usual YouTube stuff. I ask you every time, I know. I'm grateful for you bearing with me, and I'm grateful for you doing it every single time. Hit that like button, comment below, subscribe if you haven't already, because it helps me out loads on my channel, and we are racing towards 8,000 subscribers. Can't believe it. Thank you very much. Right, let's get into this Q&A. So first up, we got a question from Gaz via Instagram, and that was the best place for liability insurance. So good question, and for you guys who don't have liability insurance, you really should look at it, especially if you're doing any kind of pitch side, court side, like action sports. Liability insurance becomes so important. I get mine through a company called PhotoGuard, which is here in the UK, which is part of, I think it's the Thistle Insurance Group. They do all right for me. Their prices have been competitive. I don't just do my liability insurance there. I insure all my gear and some other bits with them too. Works out pretty well for me, but always worth shopping around. Don't just go straight in and do your liability insurance with the first company you find. Get some different quotes, see what works out the best for you. Okay, next up from Instagram, we had a question from PE23Way. Just bought my first macro lens, top 5 pieces of advice. So man, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I don't actually know that much about macro lenses. I mean, I know a little. They're great for photographing kind of close-up photography, but it's not something I do a huge amount of. So I don't want to claim to be an expert on this one. I'll tell you what we're going to do instead. You guys watching the video who do know a bit about macro photography, stick it in the comments, let us know, because it would be great to share the knowledge, for me included, because maybe it's something we could do a video on in the future. Okay, next up, sticking with Instagram, we've got a question from Van Gogh Photography. Using my R6 in a bad light stadium in JPEG, and the skin tones are bad. Could it be better? So I don't know why the skin tones would be bad. I mean, if you're using the large size JPEGs, you hopefully can do a little bit in post to adjust them if you need to. Make sure you're getting your exposure right, and then hopefully the skin tones should come out nicely. Might be worth checking which color profile you're using in the camera, but I don't really get problems with skin tones from my R6, so hopefully it's something which you can adjust in post maybe, or maybe make sure that you're exposing the photographs correctly, so that you've got the level of detail there to be able to bring those skin tones out afterwards. Cool, thank you for the question. Right, what else have we got? Sticking with Instagram for now, we've got one from Roger. Do I need to calibrate my monitor, or is it just for photo printing? Good question. So yeah, look, I think calibrating a monitor is always a worthwhile exercise. I actually have not calibrated my monitor for a long time. I did a while ago, but I just kind of did it playing around myself. I want to look into some kind of software or something to do with calibrating the monitor, so I can do this main monitor right here in the background, but I actually haven't done it, and the fact that I'm looking to try and do it as soon as I can probably suggests to you that it is worthwhile doing, worth checking out 100%. Okay, we've got another one from Instagram from Greg Westwood Media. So Greg saying, how do you get into an agency if people want to? Well, the simple answer is that you send your portfolio out to an agency and see if they're interested in working with you. But there's a bit more to it than that. First of all, you want to make sure that your portfolio is good enough. And that means getting out and about to every type of sports event you can and taking photos, photos, photos. The more you do that, the better your photos will be. You can build a good portfolio. You don't want to go into an agency too soon and get dismissed when maybe your photos aren't quite there. If you build that portfolio to a standard that is strong, then start getting it out there. Get it on your social media, send it out to every agency you can find, share it on Facebook, Instagram, get your photos out there in front of people, and hopefully you'll find someone who is interested in working with you. I hope that answers the question, Greg. Right, let's switch over to Twitter. We had a couple from Twitter. We'll come back to the Instagram ones, don't worry. Let's have a quick look at the Twitter ones. So, first question I had was, is your channel going to change to being about the R-series cameras, or will it still be about sports? It's a really interesting question because I've heard this a couple of times lately. And the answer is kind of twofold. First of all, don't worry, my channel is always going to include stuff about sports. I'm conscious that that's how my channel started. A lot of my followers are into sports photography, and so that won't change. I'm always going to include sports photography aspects into my channel. That said, I will also make videos that I kind of enjoy making and things that are going on and that I'm interested in at the time. People would have noticed I did a few R-series camera videos recently, and that was really because there wasn't much sports stuff going on, so I didn't have much sports stuff to talk about. There was loads of interesting news going on around the R-series cameras. I was excited by that, and so I wanted to make videos about it. And I will always try to make videos that I'm interested in and that I want to make. That might be about sports, it might be about landscape photography like I've done on my channel before, it might be about the Osmo Action that I've done on my channel before, making films, editing videos, editing photos, and of course the sports photography. Whole range of stuff, but hopefully something that everyone will enjoy. Stick around and I'm sure you will enjoy the videos. Okay, I had another one on Twitter, which is funny, links into my last question because people who watch my channel aren't just here for the sports. Someone has said, do I think the Osmo Action 2 will be released in 2021? So look, my honest answer is I don't know. I mean, I've got no real idea. We don't even necessarily know that there will be an Osmo Action 2. My gut though tells me there probably will be an Osmo Action 2 this year. GoPro is probably going to be having the GoPro Hero 10 come out. You have to assume that Osmo will probably start coming again with another camera, with the Osmo Action 1 coming out quite a long time ago now. They're still in that market and I'm sure they want to try to compete. So I'd be very surprised if we don't see an Osmo Action 2 within the next probably 9 months, let's say. But I don't have any kind of inside knowledge. That's just my opinion. We will see what happens. Okay, back over to Instagram and another question from Greg. Any tips on being able to turn sports photography into a source of income? And yeah, absolutely, I've got tips. I think the biggest thing that I would say is be open-minded about it. Don't go into sports photography thinking that you have to make your sole income purely from photographing sports. Most sports photographers out there will do other bits of photography along the side of it, in much the same really any photographer does. You'll find wedding photographers who will also shoot portraits or events. You'll find commercial product photographers who also shoot a little bit of sports on the side. And so you don't have to be too worried about where your income comes from. I've always talked on this channel, I try to diversify my income. Some comes from sports photography, some from other photography stuff, and a little bit, and I do mean a little bit, from YouTube, and some other non-photo work as well. So I always try to keep it mixed up. But if you want to try to make some money from sports photography, you've got to be open-minded about it. Don't feel that you have to get to the top level of sports, because photographing Premier League will often earn you less money than going and photographing a school football match where you've got opportunities to sell prints and all sorts like that afterwards. So all you got to do is get out there, find yourself a little niche in the market. It might be a local college, it might be a local school, or maybe it's getting in with an agency and earning some money that way. But there are loads and loads of ways to do it. Keep working hard, get your entrepreneurial hat on, and you will hopefully find some opportunities. Okay, back to Instagram again. A question from Alex. I'm getting into lacrosse, film and photography. Would the R6 be a better choice than the 5D Mark IV? So my very simple answer is yes, I think it probably would be. The 5D Mark IV is a fantastic camera, and actually the better camera choice than the R6 if you want to go out there and shoot things like weddings or maybe landscapes, something like that. A really fantastic camera. But if you're looking purely at sports and action, the R6 is faster, has better autofocus, and I think it would be a better choice, especially for a fast sport like lacrosse, than something like the 5D Mark IV. That's my honest opinion. I've done loads of other videos about the R6. Go check those out. Hopefully that will help answer your question. Okay, we've got another one here from PCabs Photography. I think we say PCabs. I think that's how we say that one. For teens that want to shoot sports, what's the best advice you can give so you are ready for the future? Now, I think for a teen wanting to get into sports photography, it'd be much the same advice as I said earlier. Make sure you're getting out there and taking photos of everything you possibly can. The great thing about being a teenager is that quite often you are in a school or maybe college environment where there's lots of sports going on around you. Chances are your school or your college has football teams, basketball teams, rugby teams, whatever it might be. Hopefully there's opportunities for you to better go and photograph those things. Make sure you ask the right people, the athletics department, PE department, whatever it might be in your school. But if you get a chance to do that, go and photograph everything you possibly can. Photos, photos, photos. Share them online, get feedback, critiques, and you will improve. There are teenagers who work for the top agencies in this country. There are teenagers who work for Getty Images. You know, you don't have to be worried too much about your age. Get out there, take photos, and I'm sure you can do really, really well. Okay, and I think we will round off with one last question. This was a question that someone has asked me, how much money do you make from YouTube? So, I mean, look, I'll answer it very briefly. The honest answer is, and sometimes it's hard for people to believe, but the honest answer is not very much at all. And I mean not very much at all. People who get into YouTube for the money will often be disappointed. There's an awful lot of work ahead of you if you want to earn a lot of income from YouTube. I do make some, you guys know, of course, there's AdSense and stuff like that, and maybe I'll do a video on income through YouTube at some point in the future, but the honest answer is not very much. It's certainly not big money, so don't go thinking it is. Anyone who knows anything about YouTube will know that if you have 7,500 subscribers, you're not going to be earning huge money from YouTube. But I don't do YouTube for the money. I do it because I enjoy it and the community that we've built around it. I have a group of awesome people who support me through my Patreon page, and all the money from that goes to supporting the channel. Things like when I have to rent gear and I hire lenses to do reviews and stuff like that. If you're interested in looking at that, that's in the link in the description. Check it out. But in terms of like profit that I make from YouTube, it's minimal. It's really not that much at all. Maybe we'll do a more detailed video on that in the future, but I didn't want to try and dodge the question. I'm pretty open about that kind of stuff on this channel, so there we go. So there we go, guys. That just about rounds us off. I hope you found it interesting. If you did, do me a favour, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Gonna try and do these little Q&As, maybe kind of sort of once a month, once every couple of months, something like that. I'll do some of them as live streams as well, so we can get people involved on the channel. That'll be really cool. I'll try and put these videos up on Tuesdays when I can, so these will kind of be like the second videos of the week. But anyway, I think that's enough chat for now. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.